Love really is a beautiful thing. Love is best enjoyed when the person you love feels the same way with all their heart, is willing to do anything for you, and wants to spend all the time in the world with you. But what happens when the person you love and who claims to love you back and cherish you is with someone else, or when, in fact, that person is married and is not willing to leave their spouse? This is the case today as we take a look into the story of multimillionaire Bill Hall Jr., a man who claimed to love his wife so much but had multiple affairs with multiple women, and his appetite for younger women led to his early demise. He got too attached to one of his mistresses and claimed to be in love, and this affair eventually led to an ugly saga involving sex tapes, graphic pictures, and blackmail. This turmoil of an affair would eventually cost Bill not only his marriage, but also his life. Welcome to YARO Crime. Today, we'll be looking at the bizarre story of Bill Hall Jr., a story that seemed like it had gotten its inspiration from a movie plot. Before we continue, we post crime cops here regularly, so you can consider subscribing if you enjoy this video. With that, buckle up and hold on to your seats as we look at the thrilling story of the millionaire who was killed by his wife in a love triangle. Bill Hall Jr. was a wealthy businessman who had made a ton of money from the trucking industry. Bill was said to have bought his first truck in the early 80s and eventually started a trucking company, Bill Hall Jr. Trucking, that grew to be one of San Antonio's most successful transport companies, worth more than $50 million at its peak. Alongside building a transport company, Bill had also built a family with his wife, France Hall, and they had been married for 20 years with 2 kids. According to family and friends of Bill, he loved his family very much, and he loved to express that love with no hesitation. He was also a very generous and happy man who loved cars and motorcycles. But the thing is, Bill also had a thing for younger women. Bill had a reputation for being unfaithful to his wife. Bill reportedly engaged in multiple affairs with multiple women and would often share stories of his ordeal with his cousin, Hank Hall. But above all, Bill's cousin claimed that Bill cherished and adored his wife so much that even he couldn't believe it. Frances knew that, which probably was the reason why she kept forgiving him and accepting to take him back after all his infidelities. It was no secret that Bill had a thing for younger women, but after he met Bonnie Contreras, he couldn't seem to get enough of her. Bill met Bonnie at a spinach festival. Though rumors suggested that the two had met each other at a strip club where Bonnie worked, though Bonnie claimed to have already stopped working at the strip clubhouse before herself and Bill had met. Over the next 3 years after they met, Bonnie said, she and Bill became inseparable to the extent that they even put out Christmas cards together. Bill had spoiled Bonnie with expensive trips, 5-star hotels, expensive jewelry, plastic surgery, and even a dog named Maples. Bonnie claimed to have found out that Bill was married a month after they met and said he told her he was married but separated and was going through a divorce. But in fact, Bill never had plans to divorce his wife. Bill had met his wife when they were still teenagers and had been together since high school. She had been working at a cinema at the time, and Bill said he saw her and told her she was pretty, but she wouldn't come close to Bill because he was dressed like a cowboy. Although Bonnie claimed that she and Bill were in love, Bill's friends claimed otherwise. They reported that, in fact, Bill was trying to get out of the relationship, but he was stuck as Bonnie had taken some photos and videos and had been blackmailing him. This has gone on until one day things got out of control, and Bonnie called Frances and revealed everything to her, supposedly because Bill had refused to pay for a $100 manicure. In the hours that followed, the two women started exchanging nasty texts and raining insults on each other. Bonnie started leaking very graphic pictures and videos of herself and Bill having sex together while still raining insults and body shaming her, calling her fat, old, and ugly. Bonnie claimed to have been defending herself, but Bill's daughter claims that Bonnie had been blackmailing and threatening to take Bill down. Though Bonnie denies ever blackmailing Bill, she claims Bill was with her because of the love he had for her. Bill's daughter reported that Bonnie claimed to have over 4,000 pictures of her and Bill that she was going to post to the public. Bonnie was alleged to have started stalking Bill and his family. She even followed Bill and Frances to the cinema one time where they had gone on a date together and sat a couple rows in front, texting Bill through the whole night. Though the two had exchanged a lot of words over the phone, Frances had never met her husband's mistress until the day of the accident. Frances was on her way from her niece's volleyball game when she saw her husband drive past in one of his luxuriously customized motorcycles, and soon after she saw her Range Rover drive by with a woman she had never laid her eyes on in her life on the steering wheel. With her 30-year marriage going down the drain and seeing her husband's mistress driving her family's car, Frances snaps and loses it. She then decides to turn her car around and chase after her husband and his mistress, after texting her daughter telling her that she has spotted Bill and Bunny and was going to confront them. Bunny claims that she felt someone hit her from behind, and she initially thought it was an accident, but then she felt it again, and she looked into the rear-view mirror to see Frances and her truck. She claims that Frances rammed into her 14 times. Meanwhile, Frances gives an entirely different story, claiming that she never hit Bunny's vehicle, but rather that Bunny saw her chasing her, so she decided to brake check and try to get Frances to run into her. During the high-speed chase between Frances and Bunny, Frances' Escalade swipes Bill's motorcycle off the road, though Frances claims to have been unaware, so she kept chasing after Bunny and didn't stop. At this point, a 911 call is sent, reporting an Escalade swiping a motorcycle and requesting medical attention. By the time the chase is over and she escapes, Bunny returns to the scene of the accident. But by the time she arrives, Bill is fighting to stay alive. Frances is at the scene too, and police notice the damage to the rear window of her Escalade. Bunny then tells a patrol officer that Frances rammed her husband off the road, and moments later, Frances, a 50-year-old wife and mother with no previous criminal history, is in handcuffs. Frances was being processed when her husband passed. What follows soon after is the trial, which gains national attention after a series of court sittings and a very sympathetic and heartfelt testimony given by Frances, claiming that she never intended to hurt her husband and pleading not to be separated from her family. The jury eventually finds Frances guilty on one count of murder and another count of aggravated assault, which means she could face life imprisonment. But there is a bit of a twist, as the jury found her crime to be what Texas law referred to as a crime of sudden passion, which could reduce her sentence to 2 to 20 years. The defense continued to argue for the lightest punishment, claiming the crash to have been an accident. Frances eventually got off with just 2 years for murder and aggravated assault in 2016. But the story doesn't end there. It turned out that during the course of their relationship, Bunny had gotten pregnant with Bill's baby, but she had to get rid of the baby. Though Bunny claims that she had the abortion due to medical reasons, Frances claimed that Bill didn't want the baby and Bunny got the abortion in exchange for breast implants. Bunny decided to sue Frances and her family for $2.5 million due to the alleged emotional distress she acquired from the car chase. Frances was eventually released on September 7, 2018. In 2022, Frances was accused of proving false payroll information to Texas Mutual Insurance Company, and also his payroll reports in an attempt to receive lower insurance premiums for the trucking business. All of that prevented her from paying up to $9 million in premium payments. All of this had happened prior to when she was convicted for her husband's murder, and she could have been facing a life sentence. Bunny, on the other hand, still resides in San Antonio, where she runs a health spa named Body Bliss Spa. Bill was a multi-millionaire who had an appetite for younger women, but ended up biting off more than he could chew, and this eventually led to his death. Though Frances claimed it to be an accident, she will continue to live with the knowledge and guilt of killing her husband. Thanks for watching. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. And please do not forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you in the next video.